You're listening to Dr. Troy Munson's Words of Radiance. Now here is Dr. Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson. And I love helping young people kind of get some bearings on truth. We think about these older individuals that have this wellspring of knowledge, and we hear these people spout knowledge that they've had and that they've experienced in their life, and we're just thinking, man, I would have liked to have had that knowledge. And of course, then there's some knowledge you're like, I could do without that knowledge. But when I have a young person in and they're just, it's weird. I get these senses. It's so much fun to operate in the spirit and allow each person to bring with them what they need, and then literally be a sounding board for them. And I'm sure if you've been around the spiritual journey long enough, people have found you and they have made comments or they've asked for help in some way, and you were there just kind of minding your own business, but just being, and the most wonderful things come out of the hole under your nose. And the people are like, oh my gosh, I so needed to hear that. Thank you so much. I just so appreciate that. And it's those flashes where I remember the beginning of my spiritual journey where I began to be very still, and I would have these most amazing conversations with individuals that were trying to get well and be well. And I'd get done with a conversation and I would think, that was amazing. And I have no idea what I said. And you're just like, I should be recording all these. And then, of course, as I got further down that road, so to speak, in that journey, that I realized that the words that I was speaking were obviously not for me. They were for them. And they literally pulled them out of me because I'm just going to be as clear or as peaceful and as present as I can to allow that beingness that needs to speak to each one of us in our own way come forth. And I routinely have people that I talk to that they'll say something, I'm like, I so needed to hear that. Thank you. And so these are the kinds of moments that are gifts not only to the receiver, but also to the giver. And in this particular instance, I had two clients come into yesterday that one was early 30s, and I just had the sense as I was working with her that it's kind of funny because I'm getting this sense of how to speak to her because I'm pretty sure there's this issue going on. And when I start opening up the conversation, I say, so I honestly can't remember what I said, but it was something to do with relationships. He says, tell me about relationships in your life. How are things going? What are you looking for? What are you wanting? What's the next level in your wonderful development as a human being? Because I said, your job's going amazing. You switch jobs. It's awesome. You're making good money. What's next? And with knowing that I knew, but wanting her to say it, she said, I'm wondering if and when I'm ever going to meet the right person. And, I have the inward smile and I ask a few questions. So tell me about commitment. Is there a problem with you making a commitment? And she goes, well, there is. And I don't like commitment. And I'm kind of afraid. The only people I'm willing to commit to is my family. And so at that moment, and I did a podcast on this probably 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 4 or 5, actually. It's been a while. But we talked about commitment being a very difficult thing for an infinite being like ourselves. And if that's a new concept, you're like, what does it talk about this infinite blah, blah, blah? If you have any belief systems whatsoever, if you even believe that there remotely is a God, then if you look back and you say, okay, God is infinite, God is everything, God is everywhere, and he created a being just like himself. He created us just like himself. So you must have to acknowledge at some respect that when he gave you free will, that he must have also given you everything else of his too, and therefore you must also be infinite. And so that's my little take on that if you're questioning that. But if you don't have a religious bent, so to speak, or a foundation, or you're just kind of wondering, even if you're complete, like, not, I don't have any spiritual blah, blah, blah at all. In fact, that kind of turns me off. But ultimately, as you maybe look around you at what humans have accomplished, it seems quite profound that some out there just do an inordinate amount of amazingness with their lives. We look at these athletes that achieve these amazing things and can do some of the most spectacular things. We look at some of these business people that have built companies where they were absolutely broke, and now they literally are worth billions and billions of dollars. And you think, how can one person do that in such a short period of time? And so if that doesn't show you the almost near unlimited potential of the human spirit, I don't know what else will. But suffice to say, because we are these infinite individuals, we make a commitment, and a commitment is a confinement. And it goes against the very grain of what we are to make a commitment. And it's oftentimes why marriages and relationships fail. Because if you even are a moderate student of your own mind, you hopefully have seen this. You'll walk into a store and it's your favorite store, and your brain will start pointing out to you, ah, look there. This is why I come here. And it'll look over there and say, ah, look at that. This is another reason why I shop here. But the reverse is also true for places that you do not like. Let's say you're forced to go somewhere because they're the only place open and you have no choice and you're in a rush, and you go in there and your brain does the exact opposite. Look at that. This is why I don't come here. This is why this is such a wretched place to come and shop. And yet it will do it for everything. When you finally feel like you shouldn't have your car anymore and that you need a new car, you'll start looking at everything on your car and picking it apart and basically dismantling it and showing why you need a new car or a new pair of shoes or a new spouse or a new house or a new cat. It's endless. So when we basically make a commitment to something, whether it's a pet or a spouse or a house or a car or a meal or a restaurant or whatever it is, it immediately feels confining. And that's where buyer's remorse comes in. Yet we'll do it to our spouse, the one that we love and the one that we fell in love with. And after that honeymoon period, whether it's a week for you or a year like most people think it is, it doesn't matter. It starts whenever all of a sudden you don't find what they do so cute anymore. And now your mind starts picking apart everything they do. Right now, I have a very good friend who's dealing with a child who wants a divorce from their spouse, and they're trying to discourage them. And I'm just thinking, good luck talking them out of it, because they have spent months basically talking themselves out of the marriage and how awful the other person is and all the lies that they believe in their own head. And once they've made the decision to get a divorce, to go back or renege on their decision is very difficult for the psyche to do. They won't do it. They would rather go through the divorce and look like an idiot than go back and make amends and say, I was wrong. Because it really unhinges a huge portion of their own egoic mind. Well done if you're one of those people that did go back and say, you know what, I am not going to listen to my head anymore. And so with this individual, I wrapped this up in a very short period of time about commitment and what's the best thing you can do instead of making a commitment. I don't want you to make a commitment, I told her. I want you to make a decision for perfect love. And that decision for perfect love is first to you, to perfectly love you. Make that decision first. And when you have let perfect love ruminate beautifully within you, and now you have fallen in love with yourself, you've rejected all the negative beliefs that you have about you, and now you're really comfortable in your own skin, and you don't mind opening up to another individual of light, of love, of peace, of joy, of infinite presence, just like you, now you have a chance at a relationship that is gloriously beautiful, because we do not need another couple that went into marriage with the wrong ideas at heart. We don't need another failed marriage on the planet. We don't need another unhappy couple that stays together because they're too stubborn to get a divorce. And they're too stubborn to see the lies of their own head and let go of them and begin to love themselves and love their spouse anew. These are the things that we would love for each young person, especially out there if you're a young person, that you would begin to cultivate this beautiful presence, this truth of self-love, of self-beauty, of self-infinite potential, and be okay with whatever happens in your life. And once you arrive to that point, you can now invite that other person who is also whole into your life. And as you resonate, or as you put out naturally this beautiful expression of life that you are in the most pure form, trust me, you're going to keep those away from you that have not done this. You will be what people call scary. I've had people literally call me scary. Before I got married, I would have women tell me this: "You're scary." Huh, that's really weird. I don't feel scary. But I was very, very pleased with myself. And of course, that comes across as arrogant if it's a false sense of self-love. But when it is true, and it's just a divine peace with yourself and within yourself, because you realize your connection to God, to the infinite, you now have this idea that, you know what? Life's pretty amazing. And everything is really, truly awesome. And as you have that, you invite joy, peace, and happiness in all levels to your life at all times. And those that are like you tend to hang around you. And those are the people that you're looking for to form a long-term relationship that you decide for every day. You don't make a commitment. You make a decision for love for the both of you. And every day you make that decision again. And when that person, and it will almost always be both of you together, when you have this realization, I think we're done here. We have both achieved and gotten everything that we needed from this relationship. And now it's time for us to move on to the next great adventure. There are people that will go through relationships that will happen, but the vast majority will likely travel your lifetime with that significant other, as you both look at each other as not only growth potential, but those that help unfold, unlock, show our rough edges, so to speak. Ah, I see where I am a bit rough here. Thank you for showing me where that is. And now I can even grow beyond that limitation that was hidden from me. So if you are already in a relationship and there's a lot of animosity and you find yourself constantly grumbling against your spouse, I would very much encourage you to tell that voice in your head to go suck it, to go take a flying leap and shut up and begin to stop criticizing within your own mind the one that you at one point in time fell in love with. They might legitimately be behaving badly, but I can tell you what, when you have fully let go of all of the judgments that you have placed upon that other person, and you have freed them within your mind, you might just be pleasantly surprised that you've given them the freedom and the air to breathe, to change, and to let go of their own negativity that you continually see and witness and criticize within your own mind about them. And you allow them finally to let go too. But sometimes you have to be the one to do it first. So I hope this was helpful. I know this was a lot to chew on. It is fascinating when you see it directly as your mind tells you about everything you like and don't like. And then you have the courage to tell your head to shut the hell up and begin to just go to a store that you used to not go to. Talk to someone that you used to not talk to. Make amends with people that you thought you would never make amends with. Forgive yourself for the things that you've done that you continually bludgeon yourself with. And most of all, the people that you love in your life. Forgive them within your own mind and begin to speak out what is good about them in your own mind. Why you did choose them. Why you decided for them. And watch the miracles of your relationship be just out of this world. I hope this was helpful. Until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson.